morning, everybody. This is Oona, and coming to you here from the Buddhist monastery in Ashland, Oregon. And I am here to talk to you about our Monday morning meditations. I've been leading them we're moving into our second year of doing it as a practice, as a continual practice. And we have been focusing on EFT, and that's emotional freedom technique. So this morning what I'd like to do is offer up a video to everybody at John Muir and the John Muir community. And this is an opportunity for you to take this home and utilize this as a practice with your family members or yourself, or your brother or your sister or your mom or your dad or your grandma or anybody who's in your community, even a neighbor. I'll be blinking a little bit because the sun's out, thankfully. And I wanted to offer this as an availability for each of us to take with us to shift negative emotions within ourselves. Last I checked, we raised some hands in class. We've done this so far with Marcia's class and with Jim's class, and we'll be doing Nasser's class this next Monday, that'll be the 21st, I believe, or the 20th. And we'll be doing it on Monday morning with Nasser's class, and then we'll move into Kim and Joellen's class as well. So I wanted to offer the visual up so that you could take it with you. I know that sometimes when I do a practice, I think we did it 3 times, it can take a little bit longer. And I also wanted to have a recording so that you could, like I said, utilize this in your own personal community and see how it changes your existence. I also wanted to backtrack a little bit and speak to my own personal journey with this and the reasons that the blessings, the fortunes that I've come to this path of working with this meditation practice and different skills that we can utilize to make ourselves happier and our lives more ease-filled and less congested with anxiety and fear and anger. And so first of all, my name is Oona, as I said, and I am the mama to Stella Radiance, who's now a sophomore in high school, and she was one of 3 people to go through K through 8 at John Muir. And so proud of her. She's really doing well and flourishing and thriving in high school. And then I'm also the mom to Zoe Francis, who is in Jim's class, and also to Nellie Lucio, who's in Nasser's class. So I know we have a lot of new people in our community, which is awesome, and I've met some of you, and definitely your children. But I wanted to give an introduction of myself and who I am to this community. I also wanted to speak a little bit to my path with this and how I came to this meditation practice. I desired more peace in my nervous system. I had some past trauma that some of it was, as we say, by effect of another, and then also a continual pattern of traumatizing myself through alcohol abuse, emotional abuse, psychological abuse, that I inflicted in myself because I was patterned that way, I was programmed that way, and have then come through, thankfully, to many practices that allow me to be alleviated from those past traumas. And that's what we're speaking to today, is emotional freedom technique, and how that can release many of us. Last I checked, when I was in I'm going to move around a little bit just because I want to make sure that you guys can see my body, because we're going to utilize the tapping on the body. But last I checked, when we raised hands in class, most everyone raised hands to the concept that we have negative thoughts about ourselves daily, some of us, and some of us momentarily by moment, and that these are challenges that are part of the human experience. I also got a lot of hands raised around trauma. And trauma is a funny thing because, well, not funny, but it's an interesting subject matter. Can be funny at times, but but we'll diverge from that. It's one of these things that most of us have experienced in some sort of way, shape, or form. And there was a book that all the teachers read this summer. Forgive me if I can't remember his last name. He had an interesting last name. Possibly it'll come back to me. But one of the things, I read it because I was curious what the teachers are reading, because they're teaching my children. So, I want to know what is going in as information and want to be engaged around that. And what this gentleman spoke to is, in studies, trauma can be as simple as something as a moment where you get lost for a moment from your parents, and it's not that your parents are not looking for you or looking out for you. It just happens in a crowd. Or it could be that a balloon flies away and you're sad and you're at the age of 3, and that is a traumatic moment for you. So we all experience trauma at these varying degrees, varying levels. And so, but there's also obvious, really, you don't have to go far within your own family probably to look for really intense trauma that happens in families and happens over and over again and perpetuates these cycles, these what we call cycles. And so what we're speaking to today about this emotional freedom technique is ways that we can reprogram ourselves positively to say positive messages to ourselves, which does in fact change your existence and changes brain patterning, which will then change your choices. And then you will be less likely to want to traumatize yourself again, which is a great gift in life. You'll be less likely to self-sabotage. You'll be less likely to say negative things about yourself to yourself. You'll be less likely to make unwise choices. So this is a skill set that can really enhance your life. And that is what we're going for in these meditation classes, that were these mindfulness classes. They've become more mindfulness classes than meditation itself, although we are, as a school, going towards a goal, and the goal is to, in past January, to have a school meditation again. So I'm going to move back a little bit because I think you can see my body a little bit better. And right now I'm working with each individual classroom so that we can start to cultivate. We've been talking about cultivating within ourselves this kindness, this self-giving, this self-nurturing, this self-love. We talk a lot about love in our community. It's and abound. We talk about it in our culture. We talk about it, and we see it represented by things like hearts, and which I personally love. And we see it represented in language a lot. However, we don't really speak, maybe we do, some of us do, but to the concept of daily love for oneself, and how that is really important, really vastly important. We've probably all heard the saying that you can't really love someone else until you love yourself. And I would even take it one step further, is the part. Liking yourself is really important. There are many of us who walk around each day in our collective human field of people that don't like themselves. And we're finding out scientifically that when a person is next to you, that you can actually feel, and I know that we've all, because we've talked about that in this class, you can feel it, even in your own family, when somebody's sad or frustrated or anger or any of those seeds that we've been talking about that we have within us. We each have these seeds within us. And they're anger, anxiety, these are all pretty much strings off of anger, fear. These are base emotions. And what we're doing with these practices is cultivating more kindness, self-kindness, self-love. This is a practice. It's a challenge for some of us to turn towards something that is so unfamiliar. If you watch yourself as a human, even when people give you compliments, you may find yourself deflecting it. It's pretty interesting when you start to really pay attention to how you take things in. And so this is starting very rudimentary level back at the self. And we're going to cultivate these seeds, we've been calling them, of compassion, these seeds of kindness, these seeds of joy. And we're going to not act like we don't have these other seeds of fear, anxiety, worry, pain, those kind of things. But the challenge that I'm offering forth, and the offering that I want to give to you, is to turn more towards these other seeds, turn away from these other seeds, and turn more and be curious, not be curious about those other seeds, but not engage them. We find that we have patterning in our mind, and it's as simple as that. If you engage the positive thought process about oneself, it becomes a habit, and habits become rituals, and rituals become who we are, choices as to who we want to be. And the same goes for the other realm, the other negativity realm. That's a choice too. You can get up every morning and you can tell yourself that you're awful at this. You can stub your toe, and then it just can go one thing after another. You didn't get your coffee, or you didn't get your tea, and you didn't take care of yourself. Basically, you haven't taken care of yourself. You might also look into caffeine as a irritant, but that's another side conversation. If you want to talk to me about that, I'm happy to talk to you about it. However, really coming back to the reality that every step, every moment of time is connecting back to this quality of self-care, And so with that said, we're going to start with the EFT, and I'm going to tap certain places on the body. You can use 2 fingers. You can use 1 finger. You can do it on both sides. We'll go through the tapping points in a moment. You can do it just on one side. You can actually do this mentally. You can visualize this, and it will have the same results. It's a pretty awesome, cool technique. I'm going to move back just a little bit more because I want you to see all the different parts. Okay, so I'm going to say one of the most challenging things for some of us. I asked both classes, I believe, at least I know Jim's class, I asked how many people tell themselves that they love themselves regularly. I don't believe anybody rose their hand. So this is something to feel into, to think about, how much we expect of ourselves to love others, and how little we might give back to ourselves. So with that said, we're going to start with the statement, I love myself. And I encourage you to take this home, to practice. And even if laughter comes up, well, great. Have a fun Friday night or Saturday night, cozied up. It's going to be, it's gorgeous. And hopefully I'm not squinting too much because the sun is right in my eye. Thank you, sun. However, I didn't want to do sunglasses, and this seemed like the best space for you guys to see me. But there is now snow over in our hills, and it's going to be a cool weekend, so it's a nice weekend to cuddle up at home or to go out into the park in the sun and do this together. And these are all things that are stepping out of our comfort zone. Tapping your body and saying you love yourself may be something that's pretty far out for you, and it might bring up some laughter, so I feel like that could be a good thing as well. So cultivating those seeds of joy we were speaking about. Alright, so we're going to start. And the first 2 points are right above the eyebrow here. And you can just tap them along with me. And then you go right below the eyes. And we'll do our saying in a moment, but we're just getting the tapping points down. And then you go in here, right below the nose. And I would like to offer forth the information that this is also where our body grows together and forms inside of our mamas. So our body grows from the outside, just like our brain is 2 halves. So what we're doing is balancing these meridian points, these nervous system meridian points that are very ancient. The Chinese have gifted us this, but this is all going into the scientific world now. It's actually realized and validated by the scientific world, and that's kind of like what we're at the state of being. We like to be validated in those arenas. So I wanted to put that back information in there. That's what we're doing. We're realigning this nervous system to move towards something that is positive and away from something that is negative, okay? So there's going to be some people coming out here. Hopefully you can still hear me. But this first over the eyebrow, under the eye, center of the lips here, below the lips, collarbone, and then cross your arms over and you go right underneath the underarms. For the women out there, this is going to be right about the bra strap area. And that, hopefully that offers you a giggle too. And then your wrists and other wrists. And then your third eye. Top of the head, this is your fontanelle. It was soft when you were a baby and it grew together. And then the back of your head, another fontanelle, which possibly is still kind of soft. Okay, so those are the points, and now we're going to go through, and you guys can, this will be a video that hopefully Laura will send out, and you guys can, or she will send out, and you can rewind it if you need to. So now we're going to do it with the, positive affirmation, and the positive affirmation that we're going to use today is, I love myself, okay? I think we'll do 3 times of I love myself, and then we'll do 3 times of I like myself. So, I love myself. 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 Okay? So you can do that with I like myself, I trust myself, I love myself, I am limitless, which is what we did with Marcia's class, and you could do it with anything, really. And this is going to be the completion of this part of this EFT video offering to you, but I'm going to go into, at some point, we'll go into how to remove negative memories too, because you can actually remove them and you can change them and shift them and make them positive for yourself. So many of us loop over the same memories over and over again. So it happened one time, but now we're continuing to make the choice to recreate the pain within our physical body, which turns out we can actually do that with emotions, our emotional body, our psychological body, and some would say our spiritual body. So we'll go into that at another time, but I want to do it one more time. Hopefully you can hear me. It got kind of loud here, so sorry. But we're going to go into it one more time. We're going to do I like myself, okay? So I like myself, 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 I like myself. And I encourage you to do it with different tones of voice, you know, have some fun with it. So thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video, listen to the information that is super helpful in your daily life, and I'm also going to send it out there that it could even possibly be fun. And I want to close by putting my hands together. We spoke about this in the class. This is prayer position. However, this is also bringing the 2 halves, balancing the 2 halves of your brain at the same time too, and balancing the 2 halves of the nervous system. So this is really good to do throughout the day. It does have that spiritual background to it, but it is really actually just fundamentally good for the brain. So with that said, I salute the light in you, and namaste, and bless you, and have a lovely day. Thank you.